Hello, welcome to episode 10 of our discussion series of No Holds Barred Pod. That's Sal Dodgson over there.
Hello.
All right, and we've got a guest again. We're welcoming back Talora because we have had her before, but you haven't seen it because we had some technical issues last time. But I'll let her introduce herself and then we'll crack on with the chat.
Thank you very much for having me. Hi, I'm Talora. I'm a Jewish anti-Zionist activist and a far left-leaning political agitator, if you will. I take part in civil disobedience and direct action campaigns, as well as being a staunch anti-fascist for most of my life. I have a lot to talk about today, but we will also be talking about my Defend Our Juries action that I took in November and the way that the Palestine action and Defend Our Juries actions and their disputes with the government, let's say, are progressing.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. I think, that's very,
Yes.
very political way of putting it. Well, diplomatic way of putting it rather, not political. Sorry. Yeah, thanks for coming again, Talora. Yeah, as I said, we have spoken before, but we lost pretty much all of your episode last time, so we thought better just to get you back and chat again, and hopefully everything works properly this time. So it's great that you come back. So where do you want to start? What do you want to start with?
I think that we should start with some of the more recent activity that I've been getting up to and then sort of work our way back. So recently I've decided that due to a complete gap in the, let's say, political supermarket in my local area, that we need a left-wing group because the Your Party group collapsed because most of them were International Socialist League and part of their affiliate groups. And when Corbyn took power of the SEC in Your Party, they purged most of the socialists and the far left, which included a lot of my comrades. And that included most of the people who ran Your Party in Liverpool, Wirral, and unfortunately in the town in which I live, St. Helens. This has left loads of people disenfranchised, and I've decided to form something which is called the Liverpool City Region True Left Coalition. So we can say LCR needs TLC, if you will.
Very clever with words.
Well thought out. I like that. Yeah.
It's sometimes inspiration just comes, and I have been really inspired by a lot of things that have happened, not only in my local political scene, but in my local Green Party, which I have been a member of. I've been a member of the Green Party since 2013-14. Technically doing entryism, as I now know is the word. But let's not go too far there because I might get in trouble with regional. And there are many things which have come to light in so much as that we don't have too many left voices. And St. Helens Green Party, if many people don't know in the audience, had 6 seats before the last local elections in our council. And unfortunately, due to some things that happened, both on the campaign trail and nationally as well, it seems that we lost our seats where the Green Party were otherwise making gains everywhere else. And this is in part due to reforms, surgeons, but also due to, in my humble opinion, poor tactics and a lack of actual campaign strategy and policy in our local area and region that would tie things together. There's a lot going on here, so it's not meant to be as like a complete critique of Your Party and St. Helens Green Party, but I think there is a lot more that we can do.
There's a
here.
gap in the market.
And as I said, there's a gap in the political market. So we're going to sort of fill that, take on more activist roles, work with other groups, be them in Merseyside, Greater Manchester, or maybe a little bit further south, to like Cheshire area, if we can, because St. Helens is technically a border town of the 3. And it would be good to get more and more comrades involved, to get more of a grassroots community going and budding. And I think that another spark that hit the pan was when a local grassroots group tried to set up a Pride as a Protest group, being like, in opposition, one, to the local reform council saying they were cancelling Pride and all funding, even though they never funded it in the first place. And two, against homophobia and the resurgence that has been happening just in the media and in general.
Yeah.
I wish that transphobia had been centred more, because the Labour government itself has been attacking trans rights under Wes Streeting and even before him. And it's only become increasingly worse as it's gone along. It seems like they've codified an anti-trans establishment at this point, which is really terrifying. So the flash in the pan moment was when somebody at the very first Pride as a Protest meeting praised the Tory party and said that we should include the Tory LGBTQ groups because we're all on the same side. This caused a schism, and I realized just how much of a thirst there was in my local area for socialism, for even anarchism and straight up communism. We have a broad coalition of people forming from St. Helens and surrounding areas, even parts of Liverpool coming into the group, who want to work with us. I think that would be a good alternative, but I think trying to form the Liverpool City Region's True Left Coalition, the LCRTLC that I'm doing as a separate side project, will feed into this and also help support other things that I'll be part of, like direct action that I'm going to be taking part on, which I will discuss later in this interview, because I want to discuss that as part of our protest strategies.
Yeah, sure.
But we also will be doing fundraisers, community events, socials, and the plan is to have everybody vetted so that it's fully inclusive. We know everybody who's there, and we don't have as many bad faith actors. I was in a community recently where we went on a coach trip down to London for a protest. And unfortunately, during the coach trip, I found out one of the people, due to a self-confession, had previously been accused of paedophilia. This made me exceptionally uncomfortable because he disclosed this on the ride down. He had also disclosed in an almost trauma dump that he had been previously accused of domestic violence to the point of breaking somebody's bones, and he told this story with different details on both journeys. This made me feel like I had to report him, but I didn't know who to approach. And it was after that that I realized just how lax these communities are when it comes to just even the moderating
welcoming people in.
Yes, it's just like one of those come one, come all, like alternative communities do, where you get all these bad faith actors. And as somebody who has been in the music industry and the alternative community when I was younger, I worked in there for 17 years, being a tour manager, band manager, running a radio station, so much. All in a previous life. But that taught me that there are bad faith actors everywhere, there are predators everywhere, and just because it's an outsider community doesn't mean they're going to be able to protect you. Doesn't mean that they're going to know who is and isn't true. And you can't have a purity culture, because the bad faith actors are the ones that will purge people they don't like. And then you become almost like Stalinist in a alternative space. And it's yeah, we don't want that kind of attitude.
No.
So the whole idea for me is because I have two co-admins. I have somebody who is going to be helping with admin and propaganda, and somebody else who is kind of being like a silent partner, who's just going to help review documents and copy and help champion things behind the scenes. They're also going to help build a trade union network with us so that we can work with the people who are sympathetic within trade unions, as we've previously had some conflicting issues with another group who we know have previously worked with Zionists and have also protected sexual predators in their midst.
Eesh.
So when certain anarchist or communist or hard left, as we're called, groups suggest that they don't want to work with certain groups by certain 4-word acronyms because of these issues, we're called ideologues, and we just want safe communities and safe communities for our politics, because politics matters in this day and age, because fascism's on the rise.
Everything.
It's not liberal hand-holding. We can all be like the whole kumbaya, live in peace, almost hippie type attitude, which is almost counter-revolutionary because it's being intolerant. It's being tolerant of the intolerant, whereas the left argues that you should be intolerant of intolerance, and that's the only time you should be. Which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because
are you sort of ultimate goal maybe moving into party structures with it in the end, or?
See, I feel like you've sort of guessed where we're going. So
okay, sorry.
So
well, it sounds like you're building
the aim is to
good foundation.
Yes, build a foundation, a broad base of support, meaning that if, say, a left-wing group, i.e. the Socialist Federation, decides to become a left-wing party, because I'm very interested in what they're doing at the moment and have been attending meetings. The Socialist Federation broke away from your party when Corbynites took control of the SEC. They were also part of the Purge coalition, basically, and they are true socialists. They want to form a group to work towards that, but we don't know if they're going to do a party structure yet. Either way, I have the mind to kind of, if we build a profile, try and work with them as well as other groups. But it would be one of those being careful who you get into the proverbial bed with. And yes, the aim is to be 3 steps away from being able to form into a proper party structure of people that we know, having a broad base of localized support, meaning that we will be able to maybe negotiate with St. Helens Green Party if we need to, and have a coalition, a red, black, green coalition. But otherwise, I think that there is a strong need for socialism. And if we did go party structure and start putting people forward as candidates for even MPs, I think that we could probably do something really good in this area. There is a real drive and need for it. And there are quite a few true believers who will go to the ends of the earth for like these kind of goals if they have the right leaders and stuff. And I kind of realized that. And the amount of times I've had people twice my age be like, Talora, you're so inspiring. You've lived so many lives. And it's like, yeah, but you have that power too. You just need to take it back. Take back your power.
That's fair. Yeah.
Aim at whoever or wherever you want and run for it.
Nice.
And if you don't think you have the tools right now, wait and bide your time. Like, there is so much that I want to encourage people to do because I really believe that we can take that power back, the power that we usually give to elective representatives, and turn that into grassroots action. We need more stuff like that, from your standard litter picks to fully accessible social spaces and to social events for these type groups, and just community-based action and like community-focused and driven communication, getting out in the community, meeting people. If we do actions, if it's just like a local cleanup or something, we're more likely to meet people out and about.
Yeah,
if we cause a ruckus outside the town hall, we're more likely to get a name for ourselves. It's that sort of thing of finding what tactics do and don't work. And with there being so many different ways of doing civil disobedience and direct action, we can find a way that works for everybody. Even to the point that we might be able to coordinate 4 different kinds of direct action at once, but that's just a pipe dream. How
would that work?
It would be one of those finding ways that would disrupt things in a staged manner, I think, is the way to do that. And having people do all of their actions in different places at once, meaning that we'd be able to be more successful. Previous Antifa efforts have shown me that if we split into even 2 or 3 teams, we can break a kettle by kettling the police on the rear line and then be able to get medical aid and stuff through. Yeah, so in Manchester, I got up in a kettle on the inside, but I was with 3 of the different far left blocks that were there that went with the local anti-fascists. Yes, so we were talking about a protest action that we went to. This was back in April, I think, this one. And it ended up being our block arrived like 2 minutes too late to catch up with the anti-fascists and break off into the other groups. So we ended up with 2 of the other commie blocks that had arrived a little bit late. And we were like, well, what's going on here? So we all powered off in another direction after we made sure that our other comrades in the Jewish block who had turned up because they were all a bit older than us were like safe, and we left them with Stand Up to Racism and the SWP. So when we left there, we separated off, but we ended up in a almost violent scuffle where so we came up into St. Peter's Square. We were coming up near where one of the streets connects to the tram. And then near the cenotaph, there's another side street that comes through to the square. The Revolutionary Communist Party broke off by themselves, and they're quite a big block. And the police decided to try and block them on one side street. But then they realized the rest of us were flooding through another street. And the police panicked and got really violent. They started throwing punches in the crowd. We got separated from one of our friends. But in the end, we ended up like corralled into a kettle by violent police who were swinging punches and pepper spraying people. It was very mad. So I'm a street medic. I first aid trained. So at one point, I get a call from a medic. I'm like secondary medic on the scene for a cardiac arrest, and we're being kettled, and the police will not let us get through to get the guy out. The police medic is just standing over us, like towering over us, not doing anything. People trying to record the guy having a cardiac arrest, all sorts of craziness. And then all of a sudden, the missing 2 anti-fascist blocks turn up at the same time from different directions and go against the police who are pushing back against the 3 blocks that I'm in with. And then the police had kettle on the other side, the SWP, Stand Up to Racism, and was standing between them and Britain First, who were flooding in to St. Peter's Square as well.
Yeah.
The only way that the ambulance that we called was able to get through was because the kettling of the police themselves by the other anti-fascist blocks that turned up allowed them on the other side, as we were texting on Signal, to form kind of like a passage and try and push the police apart to get them through. And because they're paramedics, legally the police have to let them through when they see them. You can see them, let them through.
Yeah.
So we did end up getting that guy out, but the only way that we were able to do that was a coordinated action. And the only reason that the 2 anti-fascist blocks broke off was to chase Britain First and fascist thugs through different streets to make sure that Britain First wouldn't have enough numbers when they came to face off against people who are far less prepared, like Stand Up to Racism, for violence and for doxing. Those are the reasons we did this stuff, is because I heavily believe that their tactics are dangerous and are dangerous to people they take with them, which includes children and young adults who don't know much about this.
Mm-hmm.
My previous interactions with Stand Up to Racism, when I talked to them about anti-doxing techniques and tried to inform people about them and different things that you can do to protect your identity and to protect yourself against police harassment and stuff, I essentially got told not to come back to the communities after a certain point because I was told that I was essentially scaremongering and telling people to do illegal things, which I don't think not taking your ID is illegal, if I'm honest with you.
I think there might be a bit of a disconnect because with my very, very limited experience of going out with Suter and Waffa, they don't have strategies. They're just showing up for numbers as far as I can work out.
Yeah, that's the point, is they don't have an actual strategy. Their strategy is show up with branded signs and getting in fascist people's faces, like 2 certain people who are big in those movements up here do, and get on camera all the time. They have primed themselves for attack. And when they say to me, Talora, I'm getting all of this flag, this is really scary and stuff, I don't really know what to say. Because when we go out there...
Oh, look, you're best prepared.
Yeah, you need to be best prepared. You need to be safe. You need to make sure you have medics. You need to make sure you have legal observers and things like that. And the amount of times that I've been to an action where Stand Up to Racism turned up and there is a lack of legal observers. The only place that I tend to see them turn up for those kind of actions are in London. Which, yes, that's fantastic. That's great because there are much bigger numbers when we do London actions, regardless of who turns up, whether it's Stand Up to Racism or the SWP or, I don't know, the RCP. Not that I'm affiliated with them. They just are a really big block that turn up and are always very visible. So it's one of those where tactics do matter to me, and I think it's perfectly fine if people want to do safety in numbers, but they need to practice safety. And
there's the other point, isn't there? That, and I'm just speaking from somebody who's like looking at everybody and is quite new on the scene. The entire purpose, certainly in Liverpool and then again in Manchester, was to stop them marching, wasn't it, and to send them home. But the police wouldn't let us. In Liverpool, we managed to outwit the police because we got a lot of numbers. Everyone came out for it, and we outnumbered pretty much everybody, and we outsmarted them. The miniature Mussolini up at the cathedral.
Tanconi.
Are you talking about the UKIP one?
Britain First. No, it wasn't Britain First. Who's he?
Yeah, UKIP, Tanconi.
Yes, I was there.
UKIP, yeah.
One, it was violent, it was messy. The SWP.
It was awful. But we won.
We didn't.
In Manchester. We stopped them during the march they wanted.
Yeah, but like they marched in Manchester both times, and Stand Up to Racism, essentially. There was originally the Resist Britain First coalition in February were due to march from Piccadilly Gardens. That was a coalition of anarchists, communists, and people from the left. We all have come together, and then all of a sudden we know all of these trade unions are flooding in. Corbyn's talking, Stand Up to Racism are saying it's their event, and we're ostracized and told we're not allowed to come. And that they some people implied that they would call the police on us, and were like, good luck getting kettled at Sackville Gardens with glee. Now, these were people who aren't necessarily in the organizational structure, because I don't want to name names, but the attitude that I faced, because I wasn't going to go to their event, even though I was part of the original structure and organization, for the Resist Britain First coalition, which marched from Sackville Gardens in February in the end, was very different. And that was when I got told about the tactic scaremongering people, because that was what that was about. And there was a point where we got kettled, and somebody from the Jewish bloc, because it had separated into two, half went to Stand Up to Racism's, Piccadilly Gardens, and half of them came with us. So that we had a Jewish bloc in both. Because of this, we were able to message across and get somebody on the stage to say, hey, the other guys are kettled. There are nearly 400 of them. They're trying to stop Britain First from harassing us. We should go and march and get them free. That person got dragged off the stage. And this is something which really concerns me, because we talk about left unity, but whenever we try and form coalitions, the far left gets rug-pulled. What's called the far left. Anybody who has left of the SWP believes it seems, gets ostracized, and I've never really understood that. So I want something where we're not having bad faith actors ostracize people based upon wanting to protect themselves. And I think that Stand Up to Racism showing up to anti-reform stuff and having good numbers and being able to pull those numbers together is fantastic. But they need better tactics. They need to protect themselves.
The point I was trying to get to is that I've just observed myself what's been going on. Obviously, latterly met you guys. And it seems to be a difference between people who want to go and protest these knobheads and people who want to stop them from doing what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? It seems to be two different camps. And because of my physical issues,
yes,
I can't run around fucking streets,
yes,
the Socialist Workers' Party can. So I just want to go and show my support and, stand there and with me daft flag or whatever it is, because I don't have the capability to do what you guys do.
And this is the exact
but
reason.
But that doesn't make me a bad faith actor, is all I'm saying.
Yes, what I'm saying is their tactics need to be better, because this is the exact
reason. They don't have any. That's the problem.
This is the exact reason why we tell people who with disabilities, people who might be older, have mobility issues, people who have chronic fatigue, people with children, we tell them, do not come with the Antifa
Don't take fucking children. Do not take children.
Do not. Please go with Stand Up to Racism.
Or
they will look out for you. Yeah. Or please, just for your own safety, like, don't take children to a protest against fascists, because that's really dangerous. And we understand that there will be parents there, including single parents, and childcare is expensive and difficult. But this is also why we say to people, you need to go, like Stand Up to Racism are organising over there. There will be a bigger block, a bigger group. More people with disabilities will be there. However, you need to know your exit points.
Oh, look, I read everything Antifa put out.
When we find out what Stand Up to Racism's tactics or their mobilization or stuff is going to be for people with accessibility issues, even myself who has chronic pain, I direct people to those because it's less intense. This is what I mean about having organized actions and having things that complement each other, because we need that in these spaces. The tactics is the lack of tactics. It's the lack of protections. It's the fact that we send these people with vulnerabilities who want to show up to be with them, only to then find that they're putting them people in danger, and only finding this out after the fact, after we've been reassured many, many times, and then found out there is no plan again, which is really, really, really frustrating for organized people like myself. See these big organized blocks who turn up, who aren't organized. They can get the numbers, but it's we want to be able to challenge these things. We want to be able to not put too many people in danger, and it's about negating the risk for some people. And that's also why why I believe that there's a direct action or a form of civil disobedience for everybody. Like, you see these Defend Our Jury things. Palestine Action is younger people going out committing this criminal damage. I
think you've got a disclosure to make to our audience here, Talora.
So, Defend Our Juries focuses on civil disobedience. Now, you may have noticed class and age disparities between the two different forms, direct action and civil disobedience. The civil disobedience campaign by Defend Our Juries has been primarily people over the age of 55, including people who are called old age pensioners, which I find very belittling by society. But that's how the state categorizes them. And a lot of them have chronic illnesses and disabilities, and they're the ones, because they're retired and they have nothing to lose, turning up for those things because they know they might get a terror charge for holding a placard. Now, this is an action that in November I did take on with Defend Our Juries for the Lift the Ban campaign. I sat in Manchester in St. Peter's Square. I'm going to have trauma going back there all the time, for protests and stuff. But I was sat with a group of protesters. We were holding our placards. I decided I was going to make 2 of my own, as well as having the banned phrase on another one just on my body. And Manchester police violently arrested quite a lot of us, including myself. And I found out the hard way that no matter what you do, it doesn't matter what you say. If they think that they can accuse you of something like terrorism and abuse your human rights, they will. In custody, I found myself facing human rights abuses from religious discrimination, from being like not allowed kosher food, and then sarcastically being asked, "Oh, are you going on hunger strike?" Because I said I would like kosher food, please, if I'm going to eat. Like almost sarcastically. And it wasn't just that; it was asking for the Torah and being denied it, and asked or just rather told, "You can have a Bible," as if the Bible is my holy book. as a Jewish person. In Greater Manchester, they should know better. They also wasn't giving me water. They were turning they were turning the intercom off so I couldn't ask for things. And they also had dragged me through a puddle so that my dress was wet and made me sit in my cell, undress in front of 2 cameras, which is not kosher, and dress myself in a dry blanket because they would not give me clean clothes. They're supposed to, as one of your human rights, give you clean, dry clothes if you're dirty or wet. And these are things that we all knew up front, but I didn't expect my human rights to be abused to such an extreme manner, nor did I expect to be harassed in the way that I was. It was eye-opening, and it made me feel like if this is what happens when you hold a placard when the government tells you not to, then I might as well do something bigger. Like, what's I'm afraid of now if they're just going to take the piss and criminalize us for holding a placard. And again, most of the people that were arrested for this, violently too, are older than myself, I should say, have disabilities, pain, and like when you're older like that, if the police hoist you, that could break your bones. If really they do it wrong, which a lot of the time they were doing illegal holds for these people, and it's just on camera documented, all of these human rights abuses, all of the like pain that they cause people, all the injustice, and it makes me think, are they going to be getting, if in future they rescind all of this, are the police who did those violent arrests, who abused people in custody, the people who this blew my mind. At the last arrest, people in their 70s were taken to an understaffed, underused police station on purpose, where there were barely any bathrooms, held in a long line, deliberately processed slowly, and then told when they asked for the bathroom, you had to be processed first, piss yourself. And several people, unfortunately, had to do that. That is indignity. What I suffered was indignity, but the indignity I suffered was by and large not in front of 30 to 50 other people in a queue.
No, that's inhumane. That's horrendous.
It is inhumane. And these are the things that we are talking about that aren't getting in the media. These are the things we talk about amongst ourselves as like action takers in Defend Our Juries or in other civil disobedience and direct action campaigns. I'm part of quite a few others, but I kind of don't want to get 1, raided by the police, 2, potentially criminalized further, or 3, get my comrades in any kind of hot water by disclosing anything. But we have a couple of actions coming up this summer which will challenge certain narratives and themes in the public, as well as directly confronting fascism in many different arenas. Defend Our Juries is just one civil disobedience campaign against a very fascist, dogmatic, pro-Zionist, illegal law. This prescription of Palestine action was deemed unlawful. And then they rigged the judges. They removed the first judge from the case, put in more friendly judges to get a more friendly verdict. And the whole reading of the appeal was madness, because they were just saying stuff that wasn't true in really verbose, fluffy ways where they weren't really saying much of anything. It was just trying to justify them doing the action, which was upholding the proscription of Palestine action, a direct action group which has not committed terrorism. It has not killed anybody.
No.
The nation state of Israel has committed genocide, the crime of crimes, and it is our duty to commit other crimes of a lesser nature to prevent that. That is international law. Just like me holding a placard and being a peaceful civil campaigner and protester in Manchester in November was under international law. I'm citing international law and British government law to the police who are arresting me and at the station, and they don't care. They just go, "This is Britain law."
Yeah.
It is
lawless.
Those international laws. Sorry. And
it's a fucking Wild West really at the moment, difficult.
Isn't it?
Yeah. It feels like it.
It feels like I'm living in a Kafka-esque nightmare, and I'm not talking. I'm not talking the metamorphosis. I'm talking the trial.
The trial, yes.
There is a maybe Renegade Angel which cites the trial as like an inspiration, where the main character ends up in front of a judge, and he goes, "There are no laws here. You're not on trial. You're on trial for being on trial." And it's so farcical. It reminds me of what we're
paradoxical.
Yeah. Wow.
And yes. That shit. Only last time we recorded too was I saying that turns out the Independent Parliamentary Standards Commissioner very proud of his son for serving in the IDF.
Daniel Greenberg.
Yeah, just like that doctor who served in the IDF and then came back to be a doctor. Is
in Leicester working as a doctor.
To do that. Like, there's a difference between a doctor and a medic. Like, you're a medic when you're in the armed forces, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just conscious of the time, Talora. Can you talk us a bit to us about your sort of anti-Zionist sort of stance and how you feel on that? Because I think that's really important, especially you've seen today they've prescribed the IRGC, the government. They've actually gone ahead and done that this morning.
Jesus.
So
I actually haven't caught up on that yet. It is interesting because it also means that if we share their propaganda on Instagram or we repost one of the IRGC's videos where they're like, Donald Trump, you are a loser. We will have 12 missiles at Bahrain tomorrow. You're done. You're done. Like, you're going to get somebody at the door. This is what I mean about the whole, like, getting raided thing. Mm-hmm. We're at the point where people from Defend Our Juries are getting raided. Like, people who are higher up in the organization are now getting raided in the same way that Take Back Power have been getting raided. Now, Take Back Power haven't been doing much of anything criminal. And when they have, it's kind of been reappropriating goods from the wealthy to the food banks.
Mm-hmm. And, I remember them. I remember them taking the food and stuff. Yeah,
because these are some of the more, like, inflammatory things that they've got in trouble for. But that's like sanitary products and stuff.
Yeah.
And other things that people like Take Back Power do is they go into places like Home Bargains and they get all of the Israeli products from the shop and put them all in one trolley and then take it to the front of the store and tell people about it and leave the goods, or just take the goods and push them out the shop or something. They basically remove them from the shelves and make it harder. And my stance on anti-Zionism really comes from my religious and cultural values as a Reconstructionist Jewish person. Reconstructionist being the 1920s branch of radical conservative Judaism formed by Rabbi Mordecai Kaplan, who argued for holiness, Tikkun Olam, which is something I argue for, which is called rebuilding the world. It's something which is seen as like a moral Jewish duty to do. Fighting for justice. One of my favorite things, I had it actually in Hebrew calligraphy. I wrote it as one of my signs for my Defend Our Juries protest.
Oh, cool.
It said, Zedek, Zedek, Tirov. This is from Deuteronomy 16:20. In English, it means justice, justice you shall pursue. The word pursue, it comes from a root word meaning to run at. So it's kind of like you must take it on. You must tackle injustice. And that's something which I believe in heavily. A lot of this does come from the injustice that I suffered as a child, the things that I saw not only as somebody growing up in the underclass in poverty, but as somebody who grew up witnessing racism against my mixed race siblings, because I've got some half black siblings. I saw racism against Muslim kids in my school. I went to schools with American military service children, and I witnessed the racism, the classism, the ableism, and all of this going forwards really informed my worldview when I got to uni, and I saw how entrenched that was. The more middle class people and upper middle class people that I met, the more I noticed the disparities between myself and them, and it kind of spurred me on to do protesting and social action. And originally I started out as an environmentalist, but as I've got more de-assimilated, let's say, and got more into my Jewish heritage and culture and less out of the British assimilatedness, if you will, I found that my faith, my heritage, and my, let's say, religious or spiritual views really inform my political views and vice versa. And it's like a feedback loop. Sure. And it's a really strong part of my identity to be Jewish. And it's a strong part of my Jewish identity to fight for justice. And I'm not sure if it's just because I'm neurodivergent, but I'm also saying it's because of those principles. I'm also as anti-Zionist from a spiritual perspective. We're going to get into a little bit of Judaism here. I am a Prophet Elijah stan, and I'm sure rabbis would love to hear that. But Prophet Elijah kind of said God is consciousness, and Israel is in Olam Haba, which is the world to come. So when it's believed at Pesach, you put wine out for Elijah, and when Elijah comes, he drinks the wine. Now, if Elijah comes, the world is ending, and he's taking souls with him to the world to come. Now, in the world to come is only where Zion, Allah, Israel can be. Anything else calling itself Israel is a corruption.
Okay.
And that is something which I hold dear to me, but also I spar with Jewish communities at the moment are saying, the left communities especially are saying, let us fight. It's a Jewish tradition to fight each other. Please let the Zionists and the anti-Zionists fight. And that's because a lot of us will also have strong ancestry from Yiddish movements. A lot of my comrades in London had strong heritage tied to those places. And it's really interesting to see the anti-Zionist affirmations of the 1890s Labour Bund, back when Zionism was formulated as an idea back in the 1890s too. Both had oppositional takes on Zionism and on creating Israel. So there's a lot of a Yiddish revival going on, especially in those communities, somewhat, most of them in London, because most of the Jewish diaspora in the UK is in London, let's face it. And us coming together and discussing our non or anti-Zionist perspectives has kind of given us that community to be able to challenge Zionism, but it's also leading to violent arrests of some of our comrades. Like some of our comrades from Doi Collective got violently arrested outside Edgware Synagogue for protesting the sale of stolen Palestinian land inside a synagogue, which is a desecration. Yes.
I've got a theory about that weekend.
Do you?
What's that?
Well, it seems, I said it at the time, it seems to me a massive fucking coincidence that the right suddenly latch on to a random murder, of which there are 7 a week. And all of a sudden they decided to pick that weekend to wang on about poor Henry Novak. Nobody else who's been murdered, just him.
Yeah.
On the very same weekend that half of those people would otherwise have been in London protesting that sale fair.
Yes.
Call me what you want, but
Yeah, I remember you saying at the time when we spoke about it, you think a lot of people were dragged away from that should have been in it. I
just don't think it was any coincidence.
The Jewish Bloc, which is a collective of other Jewish non-Zionist and anti-Zionist groups who have come together to form what we've called the Jewish Bloc, or rather the Jewish Bloc for Palestine. You may have seen them at protests with the Madagan David, but all of the triangles are watermelon fans. And recently the police stole a bunch of their banners after accusing them of trying to wrap the fash basically in them. And wrap police and attack police with banners. It's costing us quite a bit to replace them, actually. But the Jewish Bloc are out campaigning again on the 18th. Unfortunately, I won't be able to join them because I have a engagement with my partner's family. But I highly encourage anybody who can get to London or is in London who can get to the protest on the 18th to turn up and support the groups that are turning up there, including the Jewish Bloc for Palestine and all the groups that make that up.
Yeah.
We are really hoping that we can make headway with our campaigns, because this is another group we've become part of where we want to influence British politics. We've had letter writing campaigns where when we don't get a response or we receive a non-response in the form of a letter from somebody, we then have like a blast response ready to go immediately because we sort of know that will come. And this is our way that we're going to try and exercise our power as a bloc, because it's the only way we can do it, rather than splitting up into these tiny little splinter groups, which, yeah, sure, grassroots, do all your little small actions, but come together and stack up into a big movement.
Yeah.
Much more powerful,
umbrella.
Yes. And I
That's
think
how we took Farage down, by doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I find the whole thing with the sort of Palestine quite unbelievable, some of the stuff I hear in the media. So, for example, I heard Sheila Fogarty on LBC, who's one of the worst pro-Israel, Israeli government kind of media noises. And as soon as it broke this afternoon, she was saying, yeah, we've got to put an end to universities spreading the hate, the anti-Jewish hate, she called it. Instead of saying anti-Israeli government or pro-Palestine, she said they hate all Jews. She literally said that on the radio.
That's literally anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Like, literally, there was that article in The Guardian this morning that said £250 million has been allocated to protect Jewish communities, or rather police them, in England and Wales alone. That's 2 of our 4 nations. Now, that's mental, because £20 million of that is going to Greater Manchester Police, who have been brutalising myself and other Jewish anti-Zionist comrades. It's only if you're a good Jew, which I'm saying in heavy quotation
the
marks,
right kind.
the right kind of Jew, that you get. And all of this extra policing and funding and stuff isn't going to Muslims, isn't going to Sikhs or any other ethno or religious group, even though Gurdwaras, temples, mosques are being targeted. Like, mosques have been firebombed in literal build-ups to fascist protests, and nothing's being done. And all of this focus on the Jewish community is going to breed further resentment, it's going to cause further attacks, it's going to fuel further hate and fuel further conspiracy theories about us, which is only going to keep feeding the hate machine. And spoiler, Israel needs anti-Semitism anti-Semitism for itself to exist, because anti-Semitism drives Jewish migration. But just like I believe that Zionism is wrong, I also believe Zionism is racist. And we'll get on to this, because there are so many things that the Israeli government has done, from ranking Jews by like their skin color or their like background, to in the 1950s doing bombing campaigns of Morocco, Algeria and Yemen, and forcing the Mizrahi Jews, which just means Eastern Jews, to move to Israel. And then the Yemeni children affair happened, where between 1,000 and 5,000 children were taken by the Israeli government, claimed to be dead to the parents, and then forcibly adopted to white Jewish couples, which is messed up, because that also then means in their lineage they will then have more of the non-Ashkenaz DNA, and they can then claim to be native to Israel.
Israeli.
And I'm not sure if you know this, but things like Ancestry.com and other DNA testing things have been gradually erasing the genetic markers of Canaanite and Hamitic and Semitic peoples, which the Palestinians are descendant from, to erase their connection to the land. And it's really messed up.
That's mad.
That's horrendous.
Palestinians are Semitic people because they're descendants of Canaanites, meaning that by genociding even the Bedouins or the Druze and the Palestinians, Israel is committing another anti-Semitism. It's a big messed up topic.
It's a paradox. Another fucked up paradox,
Just like the campaign against anti-Semitism needs anti-Semitism to exist, so does Israel, and vice versa. And it feeds the whole protection circle and migration. But then when Israel gets bombed, Israelis migrate to Argentina, to Cyprus, to places of Greece, to islands off of Thailand, just to name 4 random places where there have been prolific numbers of Israeli Jewish people moving. Well, not even like Jewish, not like religiously Jewish or even like secularly practicing the custom. Most part, it's like claiming the Jewish identity as a Zionist or as just an Israeli to propagate the nation state of Israel's existence, if you
right. Yeah.
Yes. And it's a messed up cycle that keeps reinforcing itself. And the people that lose are the people that were there pre-1930s when the migration pattern started happening because of pogroms and various things that were happening. Because before then, under the British Mandate, as the Ottoman Empire was crumbling and pulling out of there as like a principality and a governance structure, the Brits were like, yeah, you can go over to Palestine. You know?
Yeah, off you go. Have it. Yeah.
Because there's like videos of like shiploads of people arriving in Jaffa, which is these days colonized and called Tel Aviv. Before then, Jaffa and Tel Aviv were separate.
Oh, were
so
they?
Sometimes it's called Tel Aviv Jaffa or Yaffo. That's where Jaffa oranges are from.
Oh, okay.
Now, Tel Aviv itself it started as a suburb outside of, and then when things happened,
Tel Aviv took over.
Yeah, and then it became renamed Tel Aviv.
They've got a whole massive state over in Russia, though, haven't they, as well as Israel? That was like gifted to them at the end of World War II. There's a whole like Jewish state in Russia.
Stalin relocated loads of Jewish people to a border area in far eastern Russia. This area has Yiddish newspapers to this day. It does.
But most of them had kids, and then the kids all fucked off to Israel. So there's barely anyone there now.
Also, I'm not sure if you know this, but in Russia in the early 1900s, there were loads of Judaizing Christian sects. These are called Messianic Jews in America. Jewish people call them Messianics because they are Jews for Jesus. These are people who aren't Jewish. They never were, and they claim to be Jewish, but they're
Is that like the woman up the road who changed her name? She literally decided she was Catholic and decided to become Jewish one day, and she's got a new name and everything now.
Did she convert, or does she just claim to be Jewish?
I know she fully like converted, and
it's a 3-year course, so kudos. But
is
Jesus,
yeah.
Like even a reaffirmation, if you weren't brought up Jewish as a child, is 3 years. It's like a study course.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, very serious about it.
There's so much in this, isn't there? It's crazy.
I have to come back
talk and talk.
Talk your ear off about more stuff I'm doing.
Yeah, I would like to.
No doubt.
And about more about Judaism and anti-Zionism in particular.
Yeah. I mean, particularly like Israel. I mean, supposedly, I keep hearing that Netanyahu's trial's due to go ahead in November of this year, which I don't think it will. But
even though he changed the
You'll find another way of putting it off.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I heard
he'll invade Syria to make it stop.
Sorry?
He'll invade Syria to make it stop.
Yeah.
Exactly. For Sigma 9.
But nobody's talking about that for some reason. But the Americans are like, hey, Syrian government, you like us. Can you please join in this war against Iran? And they're like, no.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. We'll get blown up.
It's all insane.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I mean,
hey, they're all old men, so there's that.
That's another
exactly.
thing. Is they're
Trump
all old, corrupt men. Trump, Netanyahu, Ben. Right. So Ben Gvir, the national security guy, the guy in charge of all the police and the prisons and stuff in Israel.
The biggest of the psychopaths.
Yeah.
He was a designated terrorist before he got into the government.
He was, wasn't he? Yeah, I read that.
He was. And this is stuff that is just glossed over. It's so sad.
Isn't Smotrich like along those lines as well? He's a real hardcore kind of nutcase Smotrich as well, isn't he?
There are a bunch of people who are carnists, and carnism is something which is a very, very, very extreme ideology that sees Arabs as subhuman.
Mm-hmm.
That's a psychological disease.
Netanyahu's dad is a carnist.
Oh, is he?
No,
right.
yeah.
Got him.
Mr. Hon, as we discussed last time. Because Netanyahu's just changed his name too for no reason. Just changed his name. It's fine.
Yeah. Was it money laundering?
Yes.
Adjacent.
That's another thing that happens is people with perfectly European names moving to Israel and then suddenly Hebraizing their name.
Yeah.
A bit like Christopher Harborn in Thailand. It's a thing.
Yeah. Well, Netanyahu did that the other way around when he was studying at MIT, didn't he? Changed it to Ben Nitay or something, I think he was, when he was in America, and then went back to Netanyahu when he arrived back in Israel.
Yeah.
But, yeah. What time are we on?
Yeah, so the suffix Yahoo, the W-A-H-U, it just means of God.
Oh, does it?
So there's a Jewish
Messiah complex
called no, a lot of their last names can end in Yahoo. So there is a Jewish reggae artist called Mattis Yahoo, and that means gift of God.
Oh, okay.
So it's literally just like a nod to
Yahoo is of God.
I am Jewish. I am so Jewish, that kind of thing. It's Judaic signaling, if you will.
Yeah, right.
He said that he's taken his grandfather's surname, who was Sarah's dad, which was Hoon, and he's called himself Hon, like it's the same thing. I took a name that was a bit like it, and I changed it. Just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got all of these different diaspora Jews who escaped the pogroms or like were survivors of the Shoah, and they were like, I need to de-Polish or de-Slavic or de-Jew my name, and they will change their name. Like certain people's grandparents, like who might be called Arthur, changing it to Arthur, that sort of thing, like just anglicizing it. And there are loads of people of the older generation in a lot of Jewish movements that I'm in who've told me that when they came here as kids, they had to change their name.
Yeah.
Like some of them changed their name completely. Some of them were able to just like change the suffix or the beginning of it just to make it a little bit more Anglican. That sort of thing.
I quite like how the Chinese do. They have like the Chinese names and then they come over here and they call themselves Elvis. And it's not like official. It's just like call me Elvis type thing.
Chinese Elvis?
Quite laid back. It's less suspicious. I've met a few Chinese Elvises, to be honest, because I think they just like see Western culture and
they used to be
the most.
It's also about people not knowing Chinese tones and not knowing the Chinese pronunciation. So it's easier on the Western ear for them to choose a Western name. And some of them even have Western names as a given. It's just how it is. And some of those Western names are Russian.
Okay, yeah.
It's a small world now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's globalization.
Yes, that's the official term, thank you. Might be good to them.
Oh, those globalists.
Yeah, the globalists, those lovely globalists. Right, I'm conscious of the time. I think we should sort of head towards wrapping up now.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for coming on again.
Talking again, yeah.
It's been a pleasure,
brilliant.
Thank you.
And we'd love to have you back and keep us up to date with what's happening with your action and your coalition as well.
Extraordinary.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So
at some point, I have to talk about socialist summer school, but I'm educational. I'm on an educational path, so I will be able to like talk your ear off about actions and theory. So
sweet.
Let's march on, soldier on, get some practice done, and fight this fash.
See how we go.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And on that bombshell.
Until next time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for coming in again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, T.
Shalom.
Thanks for everyone for listening. If you could do the old like, share, comment, that'd be smashing. Thank you.
Yes, please. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.